Now, I want to talk to you tonight about politics. We talked about the economic side. There's going to be a worldwide money crash soon. You're all aware of that. Everybody will receive a plastic card. Cash will be cancelled. Oh, here's the poster I didn't have last night. Here it is. Here's the empty wallet upside down laughing. Look. And it's saying these words from the Australian New Zealand Bank: welcome to the cashless society. Let's say that together. Welcome to the cashless society. Over here, welcome to the cashless society. Over here, welcome to the cashless society. And all of you who are dealing with cash are going to be very, very sad in a day to come. We went to a fish market today. We were down a certain place, and Andrew thought he'd go and buy some prawns or something. And he said to the guy behind the counter, "Do you take cards?" And I said, "You're wasting your time, son. There are certain shops that don't want cards and don't want cheques. You know that. They're dealing on a purely cash basis." I mentioned this last night. Why? They have two sets of books, one for themselves and one for the tax department. Anybody here who is into that sort of a thing, your days are numbered. Sorry about that, friends. All the cash people here tonight, your days are numbered. Tell your friends. Warn them. We're going to Fiji in a couple of months, I believe. We should be in Samoa next month, Fiji the one after. And when we spoke in Lautoka, Fiji last time, a lot of Indian people run the shops there. They speak the Gujarati language. And someone said, "You better come down to the meetings and listen to what this man is saying, because I hear what they do over there. They are writing up their textbooks in the Gujarati language. And when the tax man comes round, he can't understand what it's all about." Very clever move. Many people are doing this all around the world. And you'll find the newspaper says that the countries of Greece and Italy are the biggest tax dodgers in the world. It just says that on the newspaper, because up there they have a system where it is very easy to dodge tax. Do you realise that they would have caught you the other day here in this country with GST? I'm speaking to every Australian. The GST system is a spy system where everybody spies on everybody else. And so if I build a house, I've got to fill in my GST number for the builder, and then whoever comes to do the power, he fills in his GST number, and then the computer does a cross-check on what I say I paid him and what he says I paid him. And the same with the plumber and so on, and everybody's checking on everybody with the GST. You were very blessed to get away with that the other day. But I'll tell you what, they've got another plan up their sleeve for you. Some of you will know Paul Keating was going to bring in consumption tax a long time ago. And he said, "If I don't bring it in, I'll resign." He didn't bring it in, and he didn't resign, I noticed. I've got a little note here given to me. Although the GST in Australia was overturned, the writer of this note says, "I believe the Labor Party will be pressured by the IMF and G7 to introduce a GST." Your comments, please. I will now give my comments. Here I go. The whole monetary system of the world is governed by the monetary lending groups. I'll put their names on the board here. One of them is called the Bank for International Settlements. You can read all about this in my book, Final Notice, if you're interested in all the details of this. The names are in here. Final Notice. The Bank for International Settlements has a power group within it called the G7. Now, the G7 were in the newspaper today. I got myself an Australian paper, and I see them mentioned already. Then you have another group called the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Then you have another group called the World Bank, and so on. Now, if the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund wants to lend money to a country, they must go cap in hand to the G7 and get permission to lend money. Because these guys here control the money system of the world. They are very powerful indeed. They set the interest rates up and down and so on. Now, the clever plan was this years ago: to set up the world government, they lent every country in the world lots and lots of money. Let me ask you a question. Is your country in debt? Yes, it is. You're in debt to the International Monetary Fund, as New Zealand is, and the whole of Africa, and most other countries also. Now, when the International Monetary Fund lends you money, they have things called strings attached. And I'll put this on to show you how it goes. This is it here, taken from a paper called the Sunday Tribune on July the 28th, 1991, probably South Africa, that's right. International Monetary Fund funding likely but with strings. Says here, International Monetary Fund assistance has meant subjecting their economies to a brutal form of shock therapy, prescribed by the IMF as a condition for receiving financial assistance. I was talking to an African guy the other day. He came down to New Zealand. He said, Mr. Smith, I have seen your videos for years and you are spot on. That's what he said. He said, you come up to Africa, you'll find the International Monetary Fund has lent money to everybody, as they have lent money to all the countries of the world pretty well. Now, with the money, they have also conditions, and these conditions are called conditionalities policies. Conditionalities policies. And the conditionalities policies say this: you will agree with our plans to recover our money. You will set up a goods and services tax, or you will set up a consumption tax, or a VAT, whatever you want to call it. You will do this and you'll do that. And the people of Australia wonder why the politicians never seem to tell the truth. You say they promise us this, then they get a job and they don't seem to do it. Why don't they? Here's the reason: they can't. Already the policies have been signed and sealed years ago by previous governments, and the people who come to power these days are powerless to change anything. They can't do anything. Not only that, they've also signed years ago things called United Nations treaties, and as soon as the United Nations says jump, everybody in the world jumps and fills in these treaties and signs them and ratifies them. And I want to tell you tonight, there's a real wicked one coming out in New Zealand on the 1st of November this year. It makes it illegal for any person to speak publicly against anything else they find not very nice. I'm not allowed to speak publicly about anything that I find anti-God. As soon as I do, I can be fined from $7,000 to $50,000 and go to prison for 1 year, as from the 1st of November this year. That is a United Nations convention called Human Rights. And I've got it in my bag there, and that thing's coming over here as well. It's called harmonisation, so everybody will be in harmony and we'll all get along very nicely together. But I tell you what, it's evil, it's demonic, and we'll keep preaching anyway. You always come and visit me. Send me food parcels. You say, all right, well, where are we up to at the moment? Well, we find out now that they want to bring in a different system altogether politically, which means everybody gives up their independence and become interdependent. Would you agree with me that the country of Australia is being ruined? It's not like it used to be. Anybody agree with that? Here's a poor farmer in today's paper. I read this here. It says in the Australian paper today, sheep farmers penned in by drought. I am speaking to you at Calvary Chapel, George's Hall, and the date is the 14th of April 1993. I am reading to you about the sheep farmers. Listen to this. The government's blunt warning to the farmers to quit the stricken wool industry or diversify has a hollow ring for trapped growers like these people here. 4 years ago, farmers were being encouraged to grow as much wool as they could. Today, the prices are 1/3 of those levels, and growers are being advised to leave the industry. The only options are to leave or seek full-time work while running the property on the weekends. And even in New Zealand, I get telephone calls from all around the world because people know this is my subject. A lady rang me the other day from Hobart. She said, or out of Hobart, she said, Mr. Smith, we are sheep farmers and our farming is going down the tubes. What do we do?